This is James the Nose Holt joining
Jeff the Bagman Baggett.
And right now we are off the clock. All right, big deal, no deal.
No deal.
What about the Hawks, the first to 50 wins in the NBA?
Well, to clarify that, we also have the Warriors in the same night going to 50, right?
Same night, totally different time zones and everything.
Big deal, no deal?
Big deal or no deal?
I got a question for you. Can you name two people on either one of the teams?
No, cannot. Not really caring about them. How's that?
No deal.
No deal. Even though they are one of the winningest teams right now in the NBA.
Right now, the Spurs are 39-23. You taking the Warriors over the Spurs?
I would not. I would not take the...
The Hawks are 50-13. The Cavaliers are 40-25. You taking the Hawks over the Cavaliers?
No.
No
Not.
deal.
Still not. Okay, your other one, your man, A-Rod gets the first start during spring training on third base.
Big deal, no deal?
Yeah.
I think it's no deal. I think they're trying him out, trying to make people happy with it, seeing if he can hold it. But, I mean, play 80 games at third base and see if your hip holds up.
I guess here's my question to you then, since you're a Yankees fan. Who played third base before he got the spring training third base?
Oh, probably some minor leaguer that won't be on the roster. But they signed Chase Headley to too much money to let A-Rod ruin his hip at third base. I see Chase Headley as your starting Yankees third baseman. I think it's more likely that he'll play more games at first base than third base this season.
I guess too bad he's not in the American League where he can pinch hit. And,
he is in the American League.
Oh, wait, you're crapping on me. Right.
DH.
Oh, DH, here he comes.
The shame of it all is that he was a really good, I think he was underrated defensive third baseman, but that's neither here nor there. A lot of people disagree with me on that one. I say it's not a big deal. Let me see where you're playing when April rolls around.
All right, real quick for our soccer fans out there. Manchester United facing fines for 6 players being disciplined in a match. Does it really matter?
For Man U, getting fined only 6 players is not a big deal.
250 pounds. Sorry, I don't know how.
250,000 pounds?
Yeah, I don't know how
that's
that converts.
a lot of money. But for Man U, I mean, it's always a big deal when Man U's in the news. But it's no bigger than saying the Patriots deflating balls.
Gotcha. Okay. on to a real important subject. Away from big deal or no deal. 2002.
Are you saying this is not a big deal?
I'm saying this is not part of our big deal because I'm making it a big deal. 2002. You have Dale Earnhardt pass away at Daytona. Last lap. They start making safer barriers. Jeff Gordon is now going to talk to NASCAR because he wrecked in last week's Atlanta race. He's mad that they didn't.
I'm sorry, but he's not the one to be talking to anybody about driving safely.
You are correct. He's wanting safer barriers put in quicker than what they've been put in.
That's because he wants to feel less guilty about putting people into the wall and driving crazy and recklessly, and that may ease his pain and ease his heart.
Or is it him getting mad because he got hit hard in the wall, and now he wants safer walls?
Live by the wall, you die by the wall. No pun intended, no Dale Earnhardt shot taken.
That was hurt.
But it is true. It's you live by the sword, you die by the sword, and you can't cry when somebody puts you into the wall, Jeff Gordon. Grow up, buddy.
All right.
I think it's a big deal. I think it's way too late. 2002, right? That's 13 years it's taken them. It should be a lot safer.
But how safe is 200 miles per hour?
That's a great point. I mean, how safe can you be driving 33 cars on a, what is it, 1 mile, 1.5 mile? Yep. What is Daytona?
In Daytona, it's almost a 2-mile track, and
okay.
Atlanta's a mile.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere from a mile to 2 mile track, you're driving 33 cars at over 150, 160 miles an hour, 200 on the straightaways. I don't know the speed.
Or even less speed, but on a half-mile track at Bristol. How safe is that going to be?
Yeah. I mean, they did 88 miles an hour out at the Amboy Road track. That can't be that safe.
No, not safe at all.
All right.
Safe for the fans or safe for the track.
I know. All right. So, what else you got for me?
Other than my big one, I'm going to move on to the NCAA here shortly. Do you want me to hit that?
Yeah, go ahead. It's March Madness, man, and Jim Boeheim's looking in the rearview mirror.
Jim Boeheim, Syracuse already put themselves on a ban. I'm saying that the NCAA has changed its stricter rules now. This was before the stricter rules were to be enforced. Also for Roy Williams here at UNC. Also for a couple of others. And yes, I threw him in there. He's out. Jim Boeheim's going to be not allowed at 9 ACC games next year. He's also taken away 8 years' worth of wins. Is that too harsh? Is that not harsh enough? It was said that, and they did not name him in the 94 pages of the NCAA findings. They just said the head coach.
Considering what they did to Penn State over the Sandusky, considering what they've done to, Auburn at the time, who's the last one? I can't recall. The NCAA has a track record of being very uneven.
Right. They also
with their
gave
punishments.
Penn State back.
Yeah.
Some of its wins, and
I just. When I heard that first ruling coming down, I'm thinking, if it's any other minor, division team, they're getting slammed the death penalty.
You're right.
For doing what he did. So, I mean, he's carrying weight here and he's throwing it around. And I don't think he's throwing it around as much as they're afraid to slam Syracuse because of how big of a name it is. If it's Western Kentucky doesn't have a basketball team for 5 years, and they lose their program. And
you're right. That's the new laws coming out that they said will definitely, get the death penalty.
If it's Albany, let's go regional. It's not Syracuse. If it's Albany's, all but dead as a basketball school.
Mr. Tarkanian, back in his famous words, NCAA is so mad at Kentucky it went after Cleveland State. And you gotta laugh at that. You gotta look that he was correct. How many times has Kentucky been called, even with Mr. Calipari there, who gets called at every school and then runs to another school?
Catch me if you can.
Yeah, it's pretty much catch me if you can. And I mean, they know he's doing it.
Yeah.
By the time they finally get him on it, he's at a different school, so they got to start another investigation.
Yeah.
How far do you cheat and call it a cheater? If you get away with it that many times, if you're Calipari, other people like that.
I mean, my thing is, it's hard to say, but if you're a cheater, you're a cheater. There are certain people that need to do their jobs and make sure that cheaters don't get to cheat. And if they're not doing their job, you can't fully and that goes back to what I've always said, you can't fully put the blame on the cheater if you're not doing your job. If you're turning your head the other way, which I feel like the NCAA is doing partially with Jim Boeheim here, then there's something not right with it.
But is it always the head coach's fault if your players are the ones getting caught for cheating? Chris Webber at Michigan claims that he was given money through his 4 years. Good not. Chris Webber was given money, and he comes out and says it. But do we blame his head coach at the time?
Yeah, I cannot believe that there's any head coach that doesn't have some kind of inkling of what's going on their campus, on their team. When their players show up in a Cadillac Navigator, you've got is it the Navigator? Whatever. You show up to practice in a BMW. You've got to know that. Wait a minute, something's not right here. Something's not right here. So I mean, we could go around in circles for years on this. The bottom line is that coaches aren't doing their job. NCAA is not doing their job, and you know what? The student athlete, they're going to take what you give them.
Yeah.
They're kids.
They're kids. You're right. And some of these kids, come from low, dredged out situations where
Right.
their sports is the only thing that will get them out of their situation.
And the bottom line is that look at Reggie Bush. They're going to take what they give him because by the time anything's done with it, they're going to be in the professionals.
You're
They're
right.
going to be playing a professional sport. And if they're not, it won't matter to them. They got something at least when they had the chance to get it.
And that's what's the problem with most of these college situations. NCAA, you brought up weeks ago, was in just discussing with me and you, should it make kids go more than one and done?
One and done, yep.
Yes, I think it would stop it. We'll talk about
That's a
one and
whole
dones
nother question.
later.
We'll talk about one and done
But
later.
if they stopped the one and dones, yes, a lot of this stuff would stop.
Yeah, possibly, yes. All right. Moving on from here. We got a new segment that we're going to call Who Wore It Best? And what I'm ashamed of is not only do I know this, but the nose here knew exactly what I was talking
I
about
totally knew about the red carpet. Joan Rivers.
when I mentioned it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a series of numbers, and I'm going to give you choices. You tell me who wore it best.
Okay.
All right? And we're just going to run through the top 5. I'm going to put 30 seconds on the clock.
Oh,
I am not
goodness.
going to give you time to think about this. You're just going to have to run and gun on this one. All right, so we got 30 seconds on the clock.
All right.
And here we go. Number 1, Oscar Robertson or Osborne Ozzie Smith.
Oh, Ozzie Smith.
Number 2, Derek Jeter or Brian Leach.
Derek Jeter.
Number 3, Babe Ruth, Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt.
Number 4, I'm going to give you 3 choices. Bobby Orr, Lou Gehrig, Brett Favre.
Oh, my goodness. Lou Gehrig.
Number 5, Albert Pujols, Joe DiMaggio, Johnny Bench.
I'm going to go Joe DiMaggio.
And that is good.
That's what I'm going to go with. What would you have went? On totally opposite, real quick.
All right, real quick. Ozzie Smith, Brian Leach. I'm going against Derek Jeter because as good as Jeter was, Brian Leach was a solid defensive man. Hockey players need credit. Number 3, I'm going to go with Babe Ruth because Babe Ruth wore number 3 throughout his career. And Dale Earnhardt changed numbers several times. Just because he died in the number 1-3 car, and I know a lot of people recognize that, no. Number 4, Lou Gehrig was a great player, and he won a lot of championships. Brett Favre was a great player,
that's a hard
and he
choice.
won 1 championship. I'm going Lou Gehrig. Bobby Orr was great. And number 5, I would have to go... I really would go with Johnny Bench. Joe DiMaggio was a great player, but being a great player at the catcher position is phenomenal.
Where did you go, Joe DiMaggio? Come on.
I'm telling you. All right. Last week we had our question of the day, and our question of the day was, what was the largest margin of victory in the NCAA men's basketball championship game? And the answer was, in 1990 in Denver, Colorado, Jerry Tarkanian's UNLV Running Rebels beat Coach K's Duke Blue Devils by 30, count 'em, 30 points.
Now,
that was the largest margin of victory in
here's
an
what they did, though.
NCAA championship game.
The next 2 years, they came back to back and won 91 against UNLV, and then 92 they won it back to back. So
That was a
again,
run and gun back then with Jerry Tarkanian, wasn't it?
You're right.
Yeah.
With Big LJ and all them.
So we're going to go with the new question of the day for today. Tweet us, Facebook us. Let us know if you know what the answer is. And that question is, Kentucky finished the season undefeated. And the big question is, are they going to win the national championship this year? Well, as history would have it, the University of Kentucky Wildcats has only gone undefeated 1 time.
What
Can
year?
you tell me what year did they go undefeated and whether they won the national championship or not? Tweet us, Facebook us with the answer to that question. We'll send you a signed autographed picture of the Nose and myself. You can frame that, put it up on your wall in your place of business or your school classroom or wherever you may work. It'll be something everyone cherishes and drools over. So with that being said, we're going to say goodnight, farewell, and I don't know what that is, the nose, but you really should have a doctor check it out.
Just
saying.
You're 5 feet nothing, 100 and nothing, and you got hardly a speck of athletic ability. And you hung in with the best college football team in the land for 2 years. And you're also going to walk out of here with a degree from the University of Notre Dame. In this lifetime, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody except yourself. And after what you've gone through, if you haven't done that by now, it ain't gonna never happen.